Hello friends, this video on wave optics part 15 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Please make sure that you have watched all the videos till part 14 before going ahead with part 15.
So here comes the famous Young's double slit experiment. Now, why did Thomas Young perform this experiment? What was his purpose to do this experiment? Thomas Young also wanted to find out that how can he prove the wave nature of light. Because there has to be some experiment performed to prove the truth of a statement. However, Huygens had given his explanation, but Huygens' explanation was all based mostly on his observation. Based on his observation, he gave this hypothesis that I think light is of wave nature, and based upon his hypothesis, he gave this concept of wavefront and explained the phenomenon of reflection and refraction using the wavefront concept. But what Young did, he performed an experiment and he showed that the result of the experiment showed something which was not expected if light would have been of particle nature, right? So that was Young's motive, to prove the wave nature of light. So what did Young do? Young performed an experiment which explained the phenomenon of interference. What he did, he made an arrangement so that coherent setup can be made to maintain a phase relationship between two sources. He wanted two coherent sources of light. Normally, as I told you, whatever ordinary light we see around us, they are all incoherent. They are not coherent. Right? So with incoherent sources, you will have light waves with different amplitudes, different phase relationships. So everything will be random if you use two coherent sources. Right? So Young wanted two coherent sources. Now, example of coherent source was laser. So what he did, instead of using a laser, because that was a little more cumbersome to use two lasers and then perform the experiment. So he found out an alternative way. What he did, he took an ordinary source of light, for example, a light bulb, and he made this light to pass through a very small slit. I mentioned you before also, when you make light pass through a very small slit, which is comparable to the wavelength of light, you can observe effects. You can observe this phenomenon. So what happens when light passes through the small slit? He made another arrangement where he had two small slits. He called these two small slits as S1 and S2. So these are the two small slits. And this source was S, so this source is S. So which were placed quite close to each other. They were separated by some distance D. What did he observe? And then he placed a screen in front of them. So this was his arrangement. He took a bulb, made the light of the bulb pass through a small slit. Again, that light which came out was made to pass through two small slits which were quite close by to each other, and then a screen was placed in front of it. What did he observe? He observed that alternate dark and bright bands were formed on the screen. You have alternatively dark and light bands on the screen. So why did this pattern come up on the screen? That means some phenomenon would have taken place. So he thought, why this kind of result was seen? What he did? He took another setup. He took two light bulbs, two non-coherent sources of light, and placed the screen in front of them. What did he observe? Nothing. On the screen, he observed light. That's it. There was no fringe pattern. There was no alternate dark and light bands. So what he concluded? He concluded that when two coherent sources are used, some different phenomenon take place which doesn't happen with incoherent sources. So what was that special phenomenon which was taking place? That special phenomenon was nothing but the phenomenon of interference, or the phenomenon of overlapping of the waves from the two sources. So in this case, what happened? This source S illuminated the sources or the pinholes S1 and S2. Therefore, light from S1 and S2 became coherent. Why the light became coherent? Because now, since S1 and S2 both are getting their light from the same source S. So if there is any change in the phase, that change will reflect in both S1 and S2. For example, let us suppose you have two taps in your house and the water in both the taps are coming from the same source, right? So if you mix something in that water, suppose if you mix mud in that water in the source, then when you open these taps, the water from both the taps will be muddy, right? So whatever changes you make in the source, you will find the same changes from both the taps. So the same thing happened here. Here also, if there was any phase change or any change in frequency at the source, the light waves coming from S1 and S2 will reflect the same changes. Therefore, S1 and S2 will always remain in phase. There will be no change in the phase difference between S1 and S2. So that is how, with this arrangement, he was able to make two coherent sources S1 and S2. Right? Now on the screen, he observed alternate dark and light bands. How did this happen? Let us look at it. Now when this light source, when this ordinary source of light was made to pass through the small slit, these kind of wave fronts were formed. Why so? Because normally, if you make this light pass normally, what will happen? Light waves will come like this from an infinite source. So your wavefront will be straight. But since you have put this obstruction on both the sides, so the light waves, see, if the light waves were coming from a distant source like this, how will your wavefront look like? Your wavefront will look like this. But when the light waves are coming like this, but you have put some obstruction here and you are forcing the light waves to pass only through this, in that case, what will happen? In that case, these wavefront which will come out from here, they will try to spread in this way. But since this side it is blocked, so no light is entering from this side. So this light which is entering from here, it will spread in this fashion. As a result, the shape of your wavefront would be like this. Right? So that means when you put some obstacle, because of that obstacle, your light waves take this shape of semicircles. So as a result, you get your light waves in this fashion. Now these light waves, this is again the top view. Remember the example of a stone being thrown into water? Your top view looked like this. So this small slit behaves similar to a point source. So the point source will have spherical wavefronts. Now here, the red bands represent your crests and the yellow ones represent the troughs. So if you look at the side view, it would be somewhat like this. Right? The side view of the wave would be somewhat like this. Right? So if this is like the top view of your water. So now again, when this wave front passes through these two small slits, again the same phenomenon take place. Then from these two slits, the waves will arise. So these are the wave fronts of the two slits. Now if you look at it very carefully, you will see that there are points where red overlap. For example, these are the points where red overlap. Similarly, there are points where yellow overlap. Right? So these are the points where red and yellow overlaps. Yellow, red. Yellow, red, yellow, red. Similarly, there are points where red, yellow overlaps. Red, yellow. So where is constructive interference taking place and where is destructive interference taking place? Red is your crest and yellow is your trough. So if red and yellow is combining, that means it is destructive interference. Similarly, if yellow and red is combining, that means it is destructive interference. Similarly, if red and red is combining, it is constructive interference. If yellow and yellow is combining, it is constructive interference again. Right? So here if you see, these points represent constructive interference because here red, yellow, red, yellow combines. So that means these red arrows, these three red arrows represent constructive interference. So what will happen in case of constructive interference? The resultant intensity will be high. That is why these constructive interference gives rise to bright bands. So these regions are bright, whereas these portions where red yellow overlaps gives rise to intensities which are lesser. So the intensity is minimum here. So these are the dark bands. As a result of these constructive and destructive interference, you get this alternate dark and bright bands pattern on the screen. Right? So I hope I'm able to explain you what was Young's double slit experiment. What he did, he made an arrangement of coherent sources, and he found that light waves originating from coherent sources, they overlap with each other both constructively and destructively, and gives rise to a beautiful alternate bright and dark pattern on the screen. So this phenomenon of overlapping of light waves giving rise to regions of higher amplitude and regions of lower amplitude is known as interference. So interference is a property which is related to the wave nature of light. So interference is a property of light. Obviously light waves have the property of interference. But will you be able to explain this property of interference if you consider light wave as particle? If you consider that light waves consist of huge number of particles, will you be able to explain this phenomenon? Because if they are particles, there is no crest, no trough at all, and there is no overlapping, there is no superposition of waves. So there is no interference. So this phenomenon of interference clearly told that light is of wave nature. So Young's double slit experiment was the one which stamped the statement of Huygens, because Huygens principle was not very easy to accept for people. So Young's double slit experiment gave a full proof that light is of wave nature. So we understood what Young did in his double slit experiment and what he wanted to prove. Now let us try to concentrate on the fringe pattern which was obtained on the screen. We saw that alternate dark and light bands were formed on the screen. Let us now try to analyze the position of the dark band and the light band. Where exactly the dark bands were formed, where exactly the bright bands were formed. So let us analyze that part of it. So in order to analyze that, first we have to start from where those bands were formed as a result of interference. Correct? Interference was formed as a result of overlap, right? Overlap was what? Either constructive overlap or destructive overlap. Now, constructive overlap or destructive overlap depends on what? It depends on path difference. So, if your path difference is an integral multiple of lambda, it will be constructive interference. If your path difference is non-integral multiple of lambda, then there will be destructive overlap. So path difference is your starting point. So in order to find out anything, any information about the pattern which you get on the screen, first you have to find out the path difference. So you have to start with path difference. Let us try to calculate the path difference in this case. So in this case, where are my sources? S1 and S2 are the sources, and let us suppose I consider any point P where I want to calculate the intensity. As I told you, we have to choose one point where I want to find out things. So let us suppose P is that point. So what will be the path difference? Path difference is equal to S2P minus S1P. This will be the path difference, path from S2 minus path from S1. So now, looking at this diagram, this is a right angle triangle. Similarly, this is also a right angle triangle. So looking at this triangle, what we can say? From Pythagoras theorem, we can say, using Pythagoras theorem, we can say that the hypotenuse, that is S1P square, is equal to the base square, that is capital D square, where D is the distance of the screen from these two sources, plus the perpendicular square. What is the perpendicular? This distance. What will be this distance? If this point P is located at distance x from the origin, so this distance will be x minus x minus this part. What is this part? This part would be equal to this part, which is d by 2. This is d by 2. So this will be x minus d by 2. So this will be x minus d by 2 whole square. Similarly, we can apply Pythagoras theorem in this bigger right triangle. So we can say S2p whole square is equal to d square plus this entire length now. So what will be this? This will be nothing but x plus d by 2, because this is again d by 2. Right? So this will be x plus d by 2 whole square. Now if we call this as equation 1, we call this as equation 2. So we can say that 1 minus 2 gives us S1p whole square minus, not 1 minus 2, we want to find S2p minus S1p. So let us subtract 2 minus 1. So we get S2p whole square minus S1p whole square. So this gives d square plus x plus d by 2 whole square minus d square minus x minus d by 2 whole square. So d square will get cancelled. So we get x square plus d square by 4 plus xd minus x square minus d square by 4 plus xd. So x square, d square by 4 gets cancelled. So we get 2xd. So what do we get? S2p square minus S1p square is equal to 2xd. This is a square minus b square. So it can be written as a plus b into a minus b. So S2p minus S1p into S2p plus S1p is equal to 2xd. Right? Now what is S2p minus S1p? This is equal to 2xd divided by S2p plus S1p. Right? Now if we assume that d, that is the small d is the separation between these two. So if we assume that this d is very small when compared to this distance, that means if the screen is placed quite far away from the arrangement and if the two slits are very nearby, in that if we assume this, and we also assume that if x, the point P where it is located, that x is very small when compared to capital D. That means basically we are assuming that if the screen is placed quite far away from the slit arrangement, in that case we can say that S2p plus S1p. What is S2p? S2p and S1p is somewhat like this. Right? So then if this is very far away, we can say that S2p and S1p are almost equal and they are almost equal to D, because if this D is very far away, this distance becomes almost equal to D. So we can write it as 2D. Right? Understand it in this way. Let us suppose these are the 2 points and this is the screen. So if the screen is here, it is like this. Now let us suppose if I take the screen far away here. So how will this point look like? It will look like this. Right? So this is your D. Here also this is your D. So when you increase D, here the D was less. Therefore this distance and this distance looked different. But when you have increased your D so much, this inclination has decreased. And therefore this distance appears to be same as this D. Right? You understood? Okay. So we can write S2p plus S1p as 2D. Therefore, the path difference S2p minus S1p is equal to 2xd divided by 2 capital D. This is equal to xd by D. Therefore, what do we conclude? We conclude that the path difference in this case is xd divided by capital D. where small d is the distance between the two slits, capital D is the distance of the screen from the slits, and x is the position of the point where we want to find out the intensity, right? So we have calculated the path difference now. Now with the help of this path difference, we can find out where the intensity, where constructive interference will take place and where destructive interference will take place. So what was the finding of Young's double slit experiment? It found that light from coherent sources produced alternate dark and bright bands on the screen placed some distance away from it, right?
Thank you. Please visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos, try free online tests, get the best quality study materials, study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thank you once again.